Hello, I'm Carly Dearborn, archivist for the Ohio Public Policy Archives, which includes the John Glenn Archives. And today I'm in Page Hall, home to the John Glenn College of Public Affairs on the campus of The Ohio State University. Throughout Page Hall, you'll find exhibit cases featuring items from the John Glenn Archives. This series of videos will explore the documents and treasures featured in the ground floor exhibit cases. I hope you enjoy. In 1964, disillusioned by being excluded from further missions into space and encouraged by his friendship with President John F. Kennedy and Robert Kennedy, John Glenn resigned from his NASA position, retired from the U.S. Marine Corps, and entered into the Ohio Democratic primary for a seat in the U.S. Senate. Defeated during the primary campaigns in 1964, Glenn campaigned heavily in 1968 for Robert Kennedy during Kennedy's tragically aborted presidential campaign. After another primary defeat in 1970, Glenn won the June 1974 primary, and in November of that year won the general election for the first of 4 terms in the U.S. Senate. Glenn's 24 years in office made him the longest-serving U.S. Senator in Ohio history. During his Senate career, Glenn used his assignments on the Senate Governmental Affairs Committee and the Senate Foreign Relations Committee to advance legislation to help stop the spread of nuclear weapons. The Nuclear Non-Proliferation Act of 1978 he co-authored proved to be the first of 6 major pieces of legislation on nuclear non-proliferation Glenn introduced during his years in office. These bills remain a cornerstone of U.S. nuclear foreign policy. From 1987 to 1994, Glenn used his position as chairman of the Governmental Affairs Committee to fight waste, fraud, and abuse in government spending by successfully introducing bills placing inspectors general and chief financial officers into all federal agencies. In 1985, a hearing he held about the radiation leaks at a nuclear site in Fernald, Ohio, led to far-ranging investigations about the ongoing safety and environmental problems found at numerous Department of Energy nuclear sites across the country. A landslide victory in his 1980 re-election campaign convinced John Glenn to seek the Democratic Party's nomination for president in the 1984 elections. Glenn was viewed as many pundits and polls as a campaign frontrunner in 1983. However, after poor showings in the early primaries, Glenn ended his bid for the presidency in March of 1984. During his 3rd term in office, Glenn became a founding member and co-chairman of the Senate Great Lakes Task Force. This bipartisan group became the first to identify the negative impacts on the lake's ecosystem caused by the introduction of non-native species such as the zebra mussel. John Glenn retired from the U.S. Senate on January 5, 1999, and set his sights once again towards the stars. I hope you enjoyed touring the exhibit space and learning more about the lives of John and Annie Glenn. If you'd like to learn more, we invite you to visit the archives and the exhibit here at the John Glenn College of Public Affairs on Ohio State's campus. Until then, you can visit the archives online at go.osu.edu/JohnGlennArchives, where you can explore the collection through digitized oral history interviews, photographs, and artifacts.